You see, the whole of life is this becoming conscious of God, as God is conscious of himself. And you can only do that by having the values of God. And it's the values of a person that are essentially who they are. Their values are being played out in the life and the dreams that they are exercising. But it's the values that make us up. And this life is such that we become adults, not just children of God. We grow up, we come to take on the full values of God by our experience, not by our understanding, of course, because we live in uncertainty. And in as far as we do, we substitute trust. Sometimes we put that trust in the wrong thing, and things become very uncertain for us. The essence, the reason for living, is the realization of the consciousness of God. We become conscious, fully conscious. Adulthood in the spiritual realm is to be fully conscious of God's values. We then, as an individual, bring our individuality to the family of God, to their good pleasure, a uniqueness according to the experience we've had in the phenomenal world, especially, as we see it on earth, time, space, matter. And we bring our experience, but with the values of God, to the family of God, and we enrich it. And of course we're in a bliss in being in such wonderful company. I was going to say perfect company, and by that I mean complete company. Complete in goodness. Complete according to the values of God. It's totally safe family. And we're all free to do exactly as we wish, because we have the right values. What we wish is in complete harmony with God, because we have the same values as God. Now, while we're in this realm at present here, we can live it as on earth or as in heaven. And the more we successfully take on in trust the values of God, the more living here is like living in heaven, which is a great surprise to the secular world, because, they see enormous fault with the creation. God's made a mess of it from their point of view. I mean, why does he allow all this immense suffering and so on? I mean, it cannot be good. And in their sense, they're right, of course, but not in God's understanding, of course. I say, of course. I don't wish to assume an arrogance of knowing. I'm a master of the study of uncertainty. And it is through that study and concern and preoccupation in my intellectual life, so to speak, that brought me to the spiritual. For we substitute trust for knowing. We never know. We never prove. We simply have an experience in life that leads us to believe that this or that may be the relationship accordingly. And we say we have a proof. But actually all we have is a consistency in logic and an experience of the world. So we trust in logic and we trust in our experiences of the world, our experiences of living. And we call this understanding. And well, I suppose we continue to suffer good and bad outcomes because that understanding has not come to the fullness of God's understanding, who God, experiences all, for he is the author and sustainer of all. As I understand it. Yes, there's a circularity here. You see, it's my trust. Just as we cannot prove logic is valid simply by using logic, I cannot prove that trust is valid simply by using trust, except empirically appeal to your observation of the outcome. And does trust in such way, does trust itself lead to goodness or not? Well, any scientist can tell you that you have to trust certain things. You have to trust in reason, logic. You have to trust in experimentation, observation. And you may trust in other things too. A fundamental of science was, at least always, that everything has a cause and we can track down the cause, potentially, therefore, and master the situation and come to an understanding by tracking down the cause. Perhaps quantum theory has shaken this, but that's probably because of ignorance. When we really get on top of it, we'll find a causal dominance there, I suspect. If not, the whole of the foundation of science will be so shaken that our world will collapse, I think, because the world believes in science. And if it doesn't, well, our technology and so on, far from being magnificently wonderful, will collapse. I suspect, but I don't know. So, it is not reason that persuades us, in general. It is our experiences. And you can reason quite a bit on those, but reason alone does not do it. If we don't have the experiences of another person, it seems sometimes that no amount of reasoning can shift us. But we feel we know what we know, and they appear not to. Or they know something else that's valid from their perspective, but not ours. So, we are not here to get the right theology, the right religion, and so on. It helps if we're on a path that takes us in the right direction. And perhaps many religions do that, if not all, to some extent. And some, no doubt, are better than others. Perhaps better for you, but not for the person next to you or in another country. And perhaps, therefore, God has provided a way for everybody. And that's what living is. It's God's way of bringing all life to something utterly wonderful. Well, that's my best conception, and it's the best conception of many people, and probably yours. Well, hopefully yours. Depends on your understanding so far, doesn't it? What do you come to understand? That doesn't make you wrong or me right. But do choose a way that brings you happiness and joy and goodness. Not many of us want to choose destruction, harm and desolation. We seem to be fairly united on that. We'd like, I think, the whole universe to flourish. Ideally not too much at our own expense. Yeah. Thank you, Heavenly Father.